Hello?
Hi, is this Burger King?
Yeah, this is Burger King.
There are no small parts, only small actors. But an actor is always at the mercy of what parts are available, and then they have to compete to get those parts. Some are lucky and make it big, others toil forever, and if they're really lucky, they can get regular work, being typecast in smaller roles. The clever ones, however, create their own parts. Tired of being cast repeatedly as the bully, Ben Affleck became one of the clever ones, following in the footsteps of Sylvester Stallone with Rocky, or even Jon Favreau with Swingers. Ben Affleck, alongside his childhood friend Matt Damon, wrote Good Will Hunting, a story of a working-class janitor with an incredible mind for maths. The film won the Oscar for Best Screenplay and catapulted Affleck and Damon from bit part players to leading man status in an inspiring story of overnight success over a decade in the making. In the tradition of actors like Clint Eastwood or Robert Redford, Ben Affleck has used his A-list status to create a solid directing career. Films such as Gone Baby Gone and Argo are well-directed, solid dramas that have been greeted with commercial and critical acclaim. His last directing effort, Live by Night, was another strong directorial turn, but was met with a lukewarm reception upon its release. Its commercial failure probably wasn't helped by its $100 million plus budget. Among Affleck's body of work is The Town. Over time, the film has grown in popularity with its highly entertaining mix of action and well-developed characters. The Town is a perfectly distilled dose of Affleck's blue-collar sensibilities, giving us a modern crime epic that explores human themes such as loyalty, identity, and legacy. Based on the book Prince of Thieves by Chuck Hogan, The Town tells the story of Doug McCrae, a career thief who, with the aid of his friends, rob banks on a regular basis. According to the lore of the film, crime is a way of life in Charlestown, a tight-knit community in Boston where criminals are the heroes and the authorities are met with scorn. The story unfolds after Affleck's McCrae falls for Claire Kesey, played by Rebecca Hall. Doug needs to keep an eye on Claire in the event that she might be able to incriminate Doug and his crew following a recent robbery where she was taken hostage. Hot on their tail is the driven FBI Special Agent Adam Frawley, played by John Hamm.
This is the not fucking around crew. So find me something that looks like a print so I can grab one of these assholes and shake their tree, because this not fucking around thing is about to go both ways.
It's very hard to escape the tropes of a heist movie. There have been so many classic movies from this genre. In fact, we even see Doug watching Michael Mann's Heat for a few seconds. On the surface, The Town has all of the beats and iconography. We have the meticulously planned jobs, inventive masks, tense robberies, street shootouts, and a breathtaking getaway scene that makes a strong bid for being one of the best car chases in recent years. At the very least, it's the best car chase I've seen that involves a minivan.
Now that's how you drive a fucking car!
Where Affleck elevates the film, however, is through the drama and relationships between the characters. Affleck's McCrae is a wounded character, haunted by the disappearance of his mother as a child, as well as trying to stay clean after years of alcohol and substance abuse. He is a rare, melancholic figure. There's no glamour or romanticism around the life of the bank robber in this movie. It's portrayed as being just a job, a trade. In a scene following a successful job, we see McCrae and his crew, including the volatile Jem, played by an intense and almost scene-stealing Jeremy Renner, celebrate after they complete a job. There's no joy, they're just going through the motions, blowing off some steam after a day's work. It's here that we sense an emptiness in Doug and realise that he wants something more.
You think you're better than people.
Uh-huh.
Mr. fucking clean, Mr. fucking goddamn high and mighty, right?
Yeah, I'm better than all these people.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's
I'm
what
better
you
than
think.
anybody in this fucking
You grew
project.
up right here. Same rules that I did.
The conflict of the story arises not only from the tension of whether Doug and his crew can get away with the jobs, but also whether he can change when everyone else around him insists that he's the same person he always was. They're always trying to tempt him back.
We smoked it to the filter, right?
Have one beer. One beer ain't gonna kill you, right?
The idea of change is against the code of Doug's inner circle. Everyone is stuck in the past. It shaped them for better or worse and made them who they are. Their history is their legacy.
A guy's walking with two horses, right? One horse is carrying 100 pounds. The other one's got 50. Now the 100-pound horse falls over dead. So the guy's like, what the fuck? Takes a 100-pound sack, puts it on the 50-pound horse. And that 50-pound horse, he won't move. He won't won't take one step with another pound on his back. That's me. This is all I know.
But for Doug, whose father was also a bank robber, the legacy and the past only means pain. It's a cycle he's eager to break. Just like the masks in his robberies, Doug has to disguise who he is as he becomes more involved with Claire. She's his catalyst for change and represents the hope and optimism in the face of a traumatic event. She represents something good in a bad place. In a pivotal scene, we see Doug's two worlds collide. While Doug sits alone waiting for Claire during a date, Jem appears. Doug tries to get them to leave, but it's too late. Claire's returning, and we see the tension of this collision as Claire walks back in slow motion and the sound slowly drops away. On the surface, we have Doug's concern about Claire noticing Jem's incriminating tattoo, but beneath that we see Doug's realization that the people from his past just won't let him go.
I mean, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. You're too much of a pussy to cash it in. And that's bullshit. Because I'd do fucking anything to have what you got. So would any of these fucking guys. It'd be an insult to us if you're still here in 20 years. Hanging around here is a fucking waste of your time.
In many ways, the town is an inversion of the optimism of Good Will Hunting. Will is the character that's reluctant to change, and it's the people and the world around him that's insisting he uses his gift to improve his life. Differences aside, however, in both films, we see others trying to define the characters' identities, when ultimately they want to define it for themselves. The other similarity is that in both films, the female characters, Skylar and Claire, both represent an escape for the characters. They are symbols of a world beyond the protagonist's immediate surroundings. And this brings out the key theme in the town, and that is that it's not just who you are, but where you're from that defines you. Affleck's hometown of Boston is a key feature in his Good Will Hunting script, and both directorial efforts, Gone Baby Gone and The Town. The city of Boston has a long-standing association with crime stories. Authors such as George V. Higgins and more recently Dennis Lehane have long depicted crime and corruption in Boston, keeping the literary tradition of Boston noir alive. In recent years, there have been crime movies such as Scorsese's The Departed and Black Mass, which have explored aspects of Boston's criminal underworld also. Affleck's use of the city, however, is more than just a backdrop. Boston's crime iconography, lore, and legends inform every aspect of his stories. In Gone Baby Gone, the two main detectives, Patrick Kenzie and Angie Gennaro, are born and raised in the city and use their local knowledge to find a missing girl. In many cases, they've grown up with or gone to school with the people they're helping or investigating, which gives them an edge over the police force, who are treated with suspicion and seen as outsiders.
I remember you from high school. I see you're still a little conceited, huh?
In The Town, the notion of outsiders is again used for dramatic effect. The communities of Charlestown believe in a code of silence when it comes to cooperating with the police.
You don't like your sandwich?
It's the unfortunate, nagging suspicion you get as an FBI agent who has put a lot of neighborhood people in federal prison that someone may have violated your meal.
Come on, I don't think anyone would do that.
They'd throw Tom Fitz off the roof of Mishawum for cooperating and then stand around and taunt him while he drowned in his own blood, so I don't think the lunch special is out of bounds.
Bank robbers and criminals are like folk heroes and legends that give the community pride. As adept as John Hamm's agent is, the fact that he's an outsider makes his job more difficult. Unlike Kenzie and Gennaro, he can't move between the different worlds. Even his fellow agent Dino, played by Titus Welliver, who's from the community, is seen as a traitor. Affleck works very hard to create a very authentic depiction of Boston and filmed extensively on location. The car chase is made even more memorable by the fact that it takes place on the very narrow streets of Boston. It's no coincidence also that Affleck moved away from the book title Prince of Thieves to call the movie The Town. Charlestown is such a definitive aspect of the film. The opening titles attest to how strongly the town is tied into people's lives and identities, and therefore it frames Doug's character journey to be not just about transformation, but escape. If we look back again at the scene where Doug waits for Claire, we see him watching a plane taking off, representing an escape as Doug starts to think of a life beyond the town. But Jem quickly interrupts that dream. From that moment on, despite being trapped, Doug starts to literally fight to escape not only his past, but the town.
You're like a brother to me.
and I'm leaving. You shoot me? Go ahead. But you're gonna have to shoot me in the back.
The remaining heists are like a penance he has to pay in order to be free of his past. The armoured car heist only brings the law closer and further highlights the divide between Doug and Jem. In the closing heist, which takes place at Fenway Park, which is described in the movie as the Cathedral of Boston, it's almost as if Doug is forsaking the city by stealing from its most powerful cultural monument. He knows it will be his last job. He will either complete the job and leave the town, or die. In the end, the final heist delivers Doug his freedom, but it comes at a high cost. Jem is killed in a blaze of glory, and though tragic, it removes for Doug any guilt he has, as well as any ties to his past. Ultimately, Doug is left to leave alone. His plans of starting a new life with Claire are thwarted, as the FBI have her under surveillance, in a scene that echoes Val Kilmer's bittersweet departure in Heat. In the final moments, we see Claire working in a community garden where she discovers money and a letter from Doug. She uses the money to restore an ice rink dedicated to Doug's mother, bringing some closure to her death and changing her legacy. And in the closing image, we find Doug in Florida, far from the town. He's created a new role for himself. So that's my take on The Town. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
But I know I'll see you again, this side or the other.